Hello everyone, and welcome to this Volt Meet Expert. I'm Gabriele Lazazzara, co-lead of the Space Policy team, and today we will talk about European space competitiveness with our guest, Jean-Dominique Coste, which is Strategy Manager at Airbus. Thank you to be here. Is the European space industry still competitive compared to the rest of the world?
So, a very good question. The European space industry is very large. There's a lot of areas and domains and thematics, right? But I think as a whole, if you consider the traditional segments of space where incremental innovation is the norm, or incremental development such as a medium or large size telecommunication satellite or an Earth observation platform for weather, for spying purposes, or even like planetary exploration missions. So these really traditional part of space, Europe has always been very competitive. I think in the past 20 years, since for the past century, has been very competitive, and it still is the case, and still is strong after the crisis in this area. So we export still a lot. However, if you talk about the true innovation in space, such as reusable launchers or in-space manufacturing, this kind of thing that will be game changer for tomorrow, unfortunately, we are lacking, really.
What are the strengths of the European space sector?
What is the European space industry really good at? I think we are very, very reliable. So we are, like German cars are famous for being, expensive, but the thing that will last forever and very reliable. So are the European satellites. And that's not only valid for the big primes, it's also valid for the startups. There's a strong culture of big quality processes, quality reliability thing is really important. And there's a price for it, but it's really a strong value. The European industry also covers, I think, honestly, 98% of the value chain of space. So except for a few parts of human spaceflight, we are fully autonomous in Europe. We do it all, and we do it well. Another good strength, I think, in the skilled workforce. So I worked with NASA before, and to be very honest, I think the average European space engineer is higher skilled than the average NASA engineer. And then there's a big difference in budget, right? So NASA has at least 10 times more budget, so they can afford to do a lot of trial and error, which we cannot. But we have a really skilled workforce.
What are the weaknesses of the European space sector?
So as I mentioned before, we are not good at disruption, definitely not. And the reason for that, it's coming from the history. So the European space industry was basically born to answer national programs. So it was not born as, I want to build a satellite and I build a company and we'll go into the open market and make business and no, it's not like that at all. The base, I think honestly 90% of the base of the industry in Europe was designed by governments to be the producer of the needs for national programs. So it was not designed to think behind the box or to go very commercially wild. And we still live with this legacy today. And although we are forced by the context of the market to go beyond that, to think of new business models, etc., but the structure of the industry is not as such. And we need to work hard to change it. Another weakness is the saturation of the industry. So you have basically three big primes in Europe. You have Airbus, Thales Alenia Space, and OHB. And the market in Europe is not big enough for these three. So it's a good political solution to have the three because they answer some specific needs of specific nation. They give some specific capabilities where you want them where you want to have them. But it's very inefficient. There's a lot of overlaps and synergies that could be found. And from an industrial perspective, it's not sustainable in the long term to have these three big primes, definitely. And the last weakness I would like to mention is if you compare it to the rest of the world, so to US or China, the big space companies in US and China, so Lockheed, Boeing, even SpaceX, CASC and KZIC in China, what they have to support them is a backlog of very juicy defense contracts with very high profit margins. And with this profit margin, they can reinvest a lot of money in R&D and into really cool, innovative stuff. We don't have that magnitude in Europe. So yes, we also do defense beyond traditional space, but the magnitude of budget we get from that is not comparable by any means to what the US and China has. So we have to live with that. And SpaceX, they sell themselves as a very commercial garage company, but the reality is otherwise. They get a lot of support from the Department of Defense and DARPA. Yeah.